What's going on, friends? Zach here, full-time online reseller, and today I'm on a mission to go source somewhere between 10 to 20 items. I'll be heading up to Durango, Colorado, which is less than an hour away from where I live. I'll, as usual, share with you everything I find. I'll give you an idea of what I paid for it and also what I hope to sell it for on eBay. First things first, every morning I get packages shipped off. I ship every day of the week except for Sunday. Keeps the customers happy, keeps the good feedback coming in. I suggest you do the same if you can. So just waiting for the store to open up, but the big reason I come up here is simple. The stuff is just better. My local community only has a handful of thrift stores, and because of that and because of the size and population, those thrift stores get hit hard. But what I find is when I come up here to Colorado, this is a smaller but more affluent community. I just come into better, more quality garments and goods, and so that's the reason I'm here. Again, I'm gonna try to source somewhere between 10 to 20 items today, only between 2 to 3 thrift stores, so I'm gonna keep my fingers crossed. Here we go. Forever. How are you, Phil?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, my man. I'm good. Bumped into this Carhartt Pearl Snap. I love the Pearl Snap long sleeve shirts, but I usually skip on the buttons. I wasn't crazy about the price, but it was a decent color, a decent size, and again, Pearl Snap. Shuffled into this Patagonia men's long sleeve shirt, but it had a couple holes, one on the front, one on the back. It was made of hemp, and hemp is an upgraded material, but for the price and condition, I just passed. Here's the score. Ibex wool vest, men's, not a great size, not in great condition, but $5.99 minus 30%, left it at 4 and some change. Next potential buy-in was this LL Bean V-neck men's sweater, but it was only cotton with a little bit of cashmere in it, so I ended up passing on it. It was just priced too high. And then here's an example of a really great brand that Goodwill's just gone greedy on. $19.99, crazy. I would have scooped up this Ralph Lauren Performance Polo golf shirt, but it had a huge stain and the size tag was missing. So what do we have here? Patagonia, better sweater, zip up, men's jacket, great size, not great condition, not a great price, but I'll pay for it and I'll pay up for Patagonia any day. Took a hard pass on these Adriano Goldschmidt men's jeans. Price was too high, condition a little too worn, which is too bad because they were actually a great size, like 36 by 34. So I'll generally pick up marine layer when it's dirt cheap, but these were dirty and I left them. But I did scoop up these Nike golf shorts. They were 30% off. Throw them in the summer death pile. Little bit bummed about these outdoor research shorts. They were a little bit priced up and the condition was beat up. Big stain on the seat of the pants. Definitely had to walk. But then I found this bad boy. I was literally on this jacket rack like 10 minutes earlier. This jacket was not there. They came and put it out. My business partner, my partner in crime, my good old friend, just the right price. Definitely needs washed and it needs a lint roller. No surprise there, but I smiled all the way to the cash register with this one. I wasn't smiling for long when I seen the price they had on these Twisted X tooled leather driving mocks. $39.99. Get out of town. I'm walking. But I love Gorp. I love Mountain Hardware. And this piece here was also 30% off. So it ended up being nothing. It's a Gore Windstopper. Vintage Y2K. Grabbed it. Pretty good day for me. Still searching. Still hoping for the best. Another outdoor research piece, but beat to hell. That's just how these mountain goats are. But wouldn't you know, my good old friend, this babe, good price, not in great condition, threw it in the basket. And then once again, this other babe, she looked like she came home from a night out. She's a little rough, needs a shower, but I grabbed her. So yeah, 3 Carhartt pieces. It's almost like sourcing back home. And these guys, I ended up letting them stay. The Adriano Goldschmidts, this sweater, it also stayed. Just not enough cashmere in the blend. And did walk across these Fire King casserole dishes. Great condition, but Fire King's just not as collectible as Pyrex, so I left them. tripped over this Bun coffee decanter, vintage, brand new in box. They only wanted $5, but they only sell for about 15, so I actually put it back. But wanted to take a quick moment to shout out my oldest son. His birthday's today, and he's 24 years old, serves in the United States Marine Corps. Rah, devil, love you and miss you. I've literally sold this same pair of UFOs, same print, same size, and man, these things are comfortable, but for $9.99, I passed on them. They're only worth about 30 bucks. And there was another pair right around the corner, but walked on them as well. Dug through some of the backpacks and travel gear. Didn't see much. Was hoping to come into a Toomey or a vintage North Face hiking bag. Something worth some money, but nothing like that popped out at me. That's just how it goes. Looked around in the sports room, nothing to be found there. So here's the rundown. I bought 8 items for a total of $85.04, but several of these items are gonna do really well for me. I got the Carhartt Rain Defender, the Carhartt Vintage Canvas Sherpa lined vest, and also a Carhartt Pearl Snap shirt, as well as an Ibex vest and some other good stuff. So happy about the finds today. So very happy with my finds at my Durango Goodwill. Everything I brought with me was a banger, a great brand, and very excited to find the Ibex vest. That's a brand that I don't come across or source often, but just last week in that very same store I came across an Ibex merino wool jacket that was kind of lightweight, but I still listed it for like 48 bucks, I believe. So everything I did buy today was good. I definitely paid up for the Carhartt pieces, and the piece that was on the chopping block was the Carhartt long sleeve pearl snap, but it had several things going for it despite being priced up. It was a good size, it was a decent color, but it had pearl snaps, and all of those things together combined made it to where I felt like it was worthy of paying the price. I've done really good on Carhartt pearl snaps, but I have really gotten away from buying their button-up shirts, whether they're long sleeve or short sleeve, simply because there's just a lot of them out there and they don't sell. But I'll definitely any day pay up for a heavy Carhartt jacket or a duck canvas vest, and I did do that with both of those pieces. So I'm a little bit late to get to the next thrift store. Again, my goal was to source 10 to 20 items. I'm at 8 right now. Hopefully I'll make that goal at the top end of 20. Got 8 items. I'm hoping to get to my goal of at least 10, but I think I can probably get somewhere towards 15 because this store is generally good for about 5 to 10 items. It is much more affordable, so I'm keeping my fingers crossed and hoping I come up big. Morning. Well, unfortunately, I hit that store hard. I even dug through the women's aisle pretty diligently and absolutely nothing. So it looks like I fell short of my minimum goal of 10 pieces, but I am going to go ahead and hit that fallback plan, and that is to stop by the thrift store right down the road from my house once I get back into Mexico. So keep following along. Hopefully I'll dig out a few items. A little bit disappointed that I was unable to source anything from the Methodist thrift store in Durango, but that's okay. That is a very rare occurrence, and it's not to say there was a handful of items I could have purchased. One of the items was a pair of Olokai women's sandals. They were only $4.50, but they were kind of beat up. And while Olokai is a good brand, a brand I've sourced and sold successfully in the past, I just had to stick to my guns. Sandal season is not going on right now, and because the condition wasn't exceptional, I just decided to save my dead presidents for a better investment, for something that is in better condition or better shape. And I'm going to use that old saying, and I hope that this resonates with you when you're making a clothing purchase decision, that it is always better to not buy at all than to buy down on items that may take a very long time to sell. And they may take a long time to sell because they're of poor quality, poor condition, or just not a very good or popular brand. So keep that in your mind. Right off the bat, my friends, here in the overflow storage portion of this business, put me on a Brahmin purse. Now, Brahmin's not a brand I'm super familiar with, but it is lizard skin, and I went ahead and looked it up, and I think for what I'll have to pay for this guy, it's probably worthy of the pickup. I will sit on it. It's in great condition, and yeah, so always nice to learn something new about a brand I'm unfamiliar with. Vintage Pyrex, it looks to be in great condition. It's got the lid. Now, it doesn't have a print on it, but that's okay. Anytime I find Pyrex, I always think about my grandmothers who both collected Pyrex, and when I'm able to source it, I think it's them shining down from above just trying to help me out with my business. So this one's for both my grandmas. So old homemade dolls like this are often the things of nightmares for me, and if you're familiar with Annabelle the possessed doll, I think this is her little sister. So yeah, I'm gonna get out of here. Grandmas are looking out for me from above. This is Pyrex 473 bowl. It's got the original lid. It's incredibly clean, so you best bet I'm gonna pick it up. So I've got my final grabs ready to pay at this thrift store. I'm gonna go ahead and pick up this commemorative seal carousel jewelry holder. They're gonna sell it to me for 10 bucks. These are popular around the holidays. I'm gonna go ahead and cross my fingers and hope I can sell it for maybe somewhere between $60 to $80. And then a couple Pyrex bowls, as well as the crocodile Brahmin women's purse. So yeah, glad to find all these items. So $17 spent. I got much love to my local thrift, always hooking me up. So pretty decent day out there. And again, while I fell short of my sourcing goal, I still came up with some really good items, some great brands. So I'm gonna go through these items one by one, share with you what I paid, and give you an idea what I hope to sell them for. Right off the bat, I sourced this Carhartt Sherpa Line duck canvas vest in the pink colorway for $14.99 at my Goodwill in Durango this morning. And while that is definitely paying up, these sell for me, and they sell for me pretty quickly. They're the older style, they have the better canvas, and anything Sherpa lined is just going to do well. So make sure that you put that in the title, or at least in the description box. These generally sell for me for about $45 to $55. This one's definitely going to need some cleaning, but that's okay. That's where I come in and like to polish things up. Now, next item I'm going to share with you was a little bit of a gamble. This is a seal Christmas decorative piece. The top of this carousel lid pops off and it holds jewelry. There was only one of these listed on eBay, and it was listed for right around $80. But when I looked up this brand, it did look like it was legit. There was some other pieces that had sold for good money, from anywhere from $50 to $130. So while this might be long tail, it might be one of those that doesn't sell this Christmas. It might even take till next Christmas. I did have to pay up for it. I paid $10, but if I can turn $10 into $70, $80, I'm good with that. And once in a while, I like taking those risks with things like this. And it's really not going to take up too much real estate because it's very small. It was in great condition, and it still does have the box despite being a little bit beat up. But on to some other hard goods. And so, as I said, Grandma's always looking down, both of them from heaven when I find a good Pyrex piece. This casserole dish, I believe, is late 60s, early 70s. Now, it is just a solid color. It does not have any prints on it, but it's in pretty darn good shape. Off the top of my head, 30, 40 bucks. I haven't sold a ton of the oval casserole dishes like this. I mean, I have, but a lot of them have had prints and have sold for a little bit more money. But I'm glad to pick this up. I only gave a few dollars for it. That's the reason I source and sell Pyrex, is I pick it up for cheap, and also because my grandmas love to collect it. It's durable, it's timeless, and again, it's prevalent and easy to find in my area. So super happy to run into my business partner, and that is Carhartt. This Rain Defender parka was only $20 at the Durango Goodwill. My jaw almost fell to the floor because generally a jacket like this would usually be priced at right around $39 up there. So somebody missed the ball with this one. Obviously, it's not duck canvas, but it is a great size. It's 2XL, it's black, so it's got a lot of good features to it that should make it sell pretty quickly. And it's also Sherpa lined, so I cater to a lot of people that like work utility, industrial wear, and I don't just sell Carhartt. I sell Walls. I sell a lot of other lower end canvas brands, and those will sell too, obviously for not as much money, but they're timeless also. They're very rugged, they're tough, and those guys in the oil field, those guys doing construction jobs, factory jobs, they're after Carhartt and brands like that. So don't sleep on Carhartt. It's definitely one with their jackets I'm willing to pay up for, but I am very particular about buying their shirts. Now, I've sold this exact Pyrex dish in the past. This one's in a little bit better condition. If I remember right, I sold the last one of the same size for right in the mid 20s. So I might price this one at like 28, 29 bucks. I'll tack on a good amount of shipping just because this stuff is fragile, and I'll hope for the best, and I will take or field a reasonable offer. I do that often with Pyrex. These are just collectible, and I love that print. This is the Mushroom series. Probably not the most popular print, but definitely one that sells, and mushrooms are pretty popular these days for home decor. So back to my business partner. It's kind of strange that I ran into 3 Carhartt pieces. Now, this is the one piece I almost walked on. It was priced up at $9.99 and there was no discounts on it, but the only reason I snagged it is it was a good size, it was a decent color, it was in great condition for used, and it also had pearl snaps, and I love the pearl snaps. I just seem to do better on the shirts that have pearl snaps regardless of brand. And while I've kind of backed away from buying as many Western wear shirts unless they're Ariat or a very premium brand like that, or maybe a vintage Wrangler shirt, I still like sourcing these, and I'll use good keywords in the title and description. I'll put Western wear, cowboy, rodeo, work utility, and again, that's just to help shine a spotlight on that audience that might be looking for a piece like that. So this piece here, as I shared with you earlier, is a Brahmin crocodile skin purse. I believe it's vintage. I'm not super familiar with Brahmin, but when I looked up what these sell for, they sell for good money. And while I couldn't locate this exact purse, I felt like for $3 it was worthy of the investment. So it could be long tail, might take a little while to sell this guy here, but if it sells for 40, 60, 80, 100 bucks, I'll be super tickled about that. I don't know if I'll make that on the upper end, but I think I might be able to sell this for 40 to 60 bucks off the top of my head. So yeah. Now, next item I scored was just a pair of Nike golf shorts. These were listed at $7.99, but they were running 30% off on white tags, and I never seemed to find any good deals on the clearance tags at that Goodwill, so I really paid attention today. And so with these being 30% off, I felt like it was a good enough purchase price to throw in my summer, spring death pile. Nike golf shorts do pretty well for me. I've sold them in the past, and if I can source them for $3 to $5, I'm good with that. Did pay a little bit more for these, but with the discount, I felt like they were worth picking up. So the reason I love to go to Colorado, and I think I mentioned this earlier in the video, is I love sourcing adventure apparel, Gorp, good old raisins and peanuts. So Gorp is a big push in my store, and I make a lot of money off of it, and I make a lot of money off of it because this stuff is expensive to buy brand new, and I still sell it for good money in the used scene. This here is a half zip. It's Mountain Hardware. It's a Gore Windstopper. I think this is vintage Y2K. I sold one like this in the past a couple years ago. It was green, and I think it sold for like 35, 40 bucks. This one is not in as good a condition. It has some runs, a little bit of peeling, but that's okay because it was also 30% off. It was marked at $7 plus 30% off, so I'm happy with what I paid for it. I love Mountain Hardware, and here's another one of my favorite brands, probably the best-selling Gorp brand I come across, and that brand is Patagonia. So this here is a better sweater, a zip-up knit jacket. I've sold several of these in the past, generally in the gray colorway. I think that's the most common color. This one's blue, and it also has some wear, has some peeling. I did have to pay $9 for this, but with a name like Patagonia, unless it has a ton of stains and some huge holes in it, I'll usually pick it up knowing I'll make my money back off of it. And even if I don't make a tremendous amount of profit, Patagonia is generally a pretty solid seller across many of their lines, both men's and women's. So if you can come across it, if you're in some ski area, some mountain town, you're probably going to be able to find it a little bit easier. And that's why I'm lucky to find a lot of these Gorp brands, is because I live so close to Southern Colorado. So my hope is I can sell that for 35 to 45 bucks. I'll just have to do some work on it, and hopefully I can polish it up. Now here we go again, another Patagonia piece. Now this is from the Chinchilla line. Generally, if it's a fleece Patagonia and if it's beat up, I might pass on it. And this one was priced up at $10, but because it has that chinchilla on it, I knew it would sell for me. Chinchilla, the Better Sweater line, and many of Patagonia's puffer jackets are what I really love to sell, but I also sell a lot of their Capilene base layer shirts. And if you can come across just about anything Patagonia, look it up. I don't like to source their button-up shirts, but I do love to sell their pants. And there's a lot of other good items from Patagonia, and Patagonia vintage stuff is worth gold. So definitely try to get to know your tags. The tags can look a little bit different in their appearance, and that is how you date them. There's a lot of resources online on how to look up different ages of Patagonia garments, and that will help you. But don't sleep on Patagonia. To me, it's one of the kings and queens of Gorp apparel. And then last find of the day, super tickled to find this. This is an Ibex men's vest. It's got some merino wool. It's also got some performance material, and it also has a little bit of wear, which is not uncommon with a lot of the items that I'm sourcing. When you're dealing in the used market, you got to deal with some beat up stuff. So this guy here is going to be a little bit of a downgrade on what I ask for it, but it was only $5.99. This is a perfect example of the Goodwill's pricers not recognizing a high quality premium outdoor adventure apparel brand. And so what you want to look for is you want to look for Ibex, and also that little antelope that they use as their logo. Sometimes it's on the sleeve, sometimes it's on the back. And so this piece here I'll have to do a little bit of research on, but Ibex men's or women's always sells for me. It sells good, it sells fast, and it sells for a lot of money. So I can't really put a price on this. If I was to guess, probably 35 to 45 bucks. That's just guessing. But that is it, my friends. This is everything I sourced in a couple hours up in Durango, Colorado. And again, $102 spent on 12 different items. Super happy with what I made it this far. Please reach out there, hit that like button. And if you'd like to watch more content with me out sourcing goods to resell online, hit that box.